Okay, in this video, we're going to look at some link building strategies to help you start to gain some links and some equity for the pages that you're building up, right? You really want to gain these backlinks so that you can move those pages up in Google's rankings. Links are important in almost every SERP. Some of them don't require links to rank for right now, but I can guarantee that anything that has value over time will actually start to gain competitiveness, and links will be a part of that within SEO. So here's the three strategies. As I mentioned in the last video, we've got brand mentions, how to steal your competitors' links, and the Dream 100. In this video, we're definitely going to cover through brand mentions and steal your competitors' links. And if we have time, we'll do a Dream 100, but we may give you a third video on that one because I think that it might require a little bit more, demonstration, something a little bit more thorough. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So brand mentions is the first strategy that we've got here. And I really like this one because it's very passive, right? So here's the steps and simplicity. Now, this is generally an oversimplified version you'll find in these other strategies. But right here, you can see that basically it's just setting up a Google alert. Go to Google, you set up an alert for your brand, and then you wait to get those emails or those pings from Google. And then if you're getting brand mentions somewhere that don't have a link to you, you just go and approach those guys and say, hey, I see that you're talking about me. Do you mind linking to the website? I see that you mentioned something about, our products. Do you mind linking to the product page, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll show you that here. I've got this open over here. You can see Google Alerts. I'll move this to the side here. Oh, I'm making myself... There we go. Cool. So you can see I'm on google.com/alerts. Simple as that. Just be signed into whatever Google account you want the emails to go to. And then creating an alert is pretty simple. It actually suggests these to you so that I can, those will automatically be used. So your email address, and I think this is the name that I used for this email address. So you can use that, or you can just set up anything you want, So I might put in, create an alert. So you can see some alert previews here. Unfortunately, there's an NFL player by the same name, no relation that I'm aware of. So maybe not the best one for me. Maybe I don't expect so much to come out of that. So I could potentially put something else in, right? I could put Singularity Digital. Right, I could put that in, and I could just create an alert around that, right? So now, whenever this is mentioned, I should get an email, and that will help me to sort of keep up to date with where I'm being mentioned. Now, there are a couple other settings you can see here when I go to edit this. How often do I want to be alerted? The sources, so news, blogs, the web, video, etc. What language? What region? So how many, only the best or all results, or everything that mentions us. So I would say for your brand name, if it's very specific, then that might be a really good thing to do every single one. Otherwise, you may want to leave it on only the best results just to minimize the amount of spam you're going to get from this particular strategy, right? So what I might put here is some quotations around here, just purely because what this is going to do is mean that the only way that I'm going to get notified by this now is if those two words appear together like this in a phrase somewhere, rather than if I don't put these quotations around it. What you're going to see is if Singularity and Digital are both mentioned on a page somewhere, I'll get a notification. And obviously Singularity could be the title and Digital could be mentioned in the footer of the website, which would be of no use to me whatsoever. So you need to think about that. So I would say for most of you, if you're going to do this, you definitely want to have both of those. You want to have these quotations around there. Alternatively, I think you can have these, you can have these bars around it as well. So these bars should make it an exact match scenario, but it doesn't, unfortunately, in this scenario. And if this was AdWords, it would. Mixing up my tools, I apologize. But have your quotations around things so that you know that these words are going to be matched together. So you can see here, if I go down Singularity Digital Enterprise, Okay, working at Singularity Digital Enterprise. Singularity Digital Enterprise LinkedIn. Now, I actually don't know who these guys are. It's the first I've heard of them, to be honest. So there, look, Singularity Digital UK. So there are other names there, right? So you're going to get some spam, and at most, I would say if you get one of these a day, you would go through these in the morning or whenever you get the ping, and just scroll quickly for what you could find that looks immediately relevant. You wouldn't need to open all the links and check every single one manually. This is really just a low key, low effort way for you to just monitor where you might be mentioned on the web and just leave it at that. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I think this doesn't need any more complication. I think it's going to be pretty obvious to all of you, right? It's not that hard. So let's jump into the second one. So the second strategy that we have here is stealing your competitors' links. Now, very broadly, this really goes down like this. You list out the top 5 competitors you have. You go to Ahrefs link intersect report. You add each of your competitors. You download all the data. You review it all, find an angle, and approach those same websites. Now, that all sounds well and good and really 1 to 7 here as I speak to you. But let's look at it with a particular website to show you the process, right? So I'm going to use get response here as an example. So simplified tool to send emails, create pages, and automate your marketing, right? So they're all about this email marketing. They've got a website builder. It's one of these automation tools, right? Cool. There's a million and one of those in the industry right now. This is probably one of the more better known ones. I think they're primarily known for email marketing originally, but obviously they've branched out, which is great. So what we would do with these if I was get response, right? So I might go, maybe I don't know who my competitors are. But what I might do then is I might go to Ahrefs and I might go to their site explorer and I'll put in my domain. This is me, get response. I want to see domain and all subdomains. And it's going to bring up all of the statistics that we've seen before in Ahrefs, right? So from there, we looked at before how to steal competitors' keywords. Stealing links is really similar in that we're going to review the keywords, the links that our competitors have, basically try to figure out what ones are common across competitors and use those in our own outreach plans, essentially, and say, hey, well, if one particular website is linking to multiple of my competitors, then it's highly likely they're going to link to me, right? And that works if only, if one site links to a competitor, it's the same scenario. But obviously, if you've got one site that's linking to 3 or 4 different competitors, it's going to be of more value than for you to approach them by saying, well, look, you're linking to 4 of our competitors in a roundup. Do you mind adding us in there as well? So it's really sort of easy way to gain these links. Yeah. The other thing that this really does is it sort of helps you look at the types of sites at a more granular level that are linking to your competitors. And you may find angles there or industries that you wouldn't have considered, right? Because you're reviewing how your competitors have been doing things and what's worked for them. And maybe they've approached this from a different way. And you can see like, oh, actually, I never thought about reaching out to that industry or creating a link between, this kind of business and our business. We should actually investigate that. So it's helpful in your own research, but it's a little bit of competitive research at the same time. You can sort of start to backward engineer maybe what they might have been trying to do, or maybe if they've done it extremely well, exactly what they are doing, what their strategy is. So I'm in the get response. I'm on the main overview page here, right? So what I might do here to identify some competitors that I'm unaware of, at least for a bigger, if for a bigger site, this works. If you're brand new, this isn't going to work so well. If you're brand new, you're going to want to know who your top 5 competitors are. And that might be who the top 5 are the closest to you in terms of the services or products that they offer. And it doesn't have to be small guys. It can be big guys as well. I would just caution against, if you're going to look at big guys as competitors, for example, if you were to set up a marketplace for selling things, I don't think I would be trying to look at Etsy or Amazon or something like that, right? That's going to be too much. You really want to stick within the lane that you're in and say, who's the biggest guy doing this thing? But isn't like one of these multi-billion-dollar companies, because reverse engineering their stuff is sort of extremely helpful because they've got so much leverage and so much momentum to roll off that everything is sort of relevant, right? They're going to get links from all sorts of places that you may not be able to get at the stage that you're at. So what you might want to do is start looking at, who are the guys who are, a couple levels above us, right? Who are those guys who really are doing a good job, but they're not the completely mainstream level, It's a tough one. It's a tough judge, but you'll understand, you'll know the difference when you see them versus someone else who is, competitive, a competitor against you, but who isn't like super mainstream. So anyway, so if you're brand new, list those 5 out and it'll be a slightly different process for you, but I'll show you this anyway. So basically, if I was going to go and be Get Response, right? Or maybe Get Response is your main competitor and you're launching up now and you want to have a look, this could be a great angle, right? Go to competing domains. So what this is going to do is this is going to say, okay, Get Response's domain, this website competes in keywords with these major websites. And it's going to give you the number of keywords that you have in common here. And it's going to give you the percentage of keywords in common versus the number of keywords that Get Response. So Get Response is ranking for 23,689 keywords here that Sendinblue isn't ranking for. However, there's 7,000 keywords that are common to both of them, right? Which is an overlap of 12%. So we go, okay, cool. Well, this is the biggest overlap percentage in terms of keywords. So it looks like the keywords, the things that they're chasing, that they're writing about, that they're both trying to rank for are similar in a large part here, or the things that they have success for at least are in large part in here. So what this is going to let you do is say, okay, well, I want to say that these couple of guys here are going to be our main competitors. Yeah. Sendinblue, Aweber, MoveSend, Campaign Monitor, ConvertKit, maybe this email tool tester, etc. Right? Alternatively, if you know who's the big ones, you might be like me, say, okay, well, I've heard of Sendinblue and Aweber. Yes. Campaign Monitor, I know. ConvertKit, I know. SendGrid, I know, is a beast. MailChimp, we know, is massive. Unbounce too. So I might add the ones that I know that I've heard of that I know that are going to be moving in the direction that I want. But for purposes of this, let's keep moving forward. So now that I've got all these competing domains, what I can do here is I can go link intersect. You see this drop down link intersect tool. I'll open this in another tab and say link intersect here. Show me who is linking to these domains or URLs, but doesn't link to this domain or URL, right? So now you're going to be able to put your competitors in here and say, show me who's linking to my top 5 competitors, say, but isn't linking to me. And here's where you get the value, right? You get to see like, oh, right, here's the links that I don't have that they have. And the more of them have this similar link, the more valuable that might be for me to chase right now, or easier it might be to chase, is sort of a low effort but high value link that I could get. Yeah. So let's go and grab a couple of these and put it into here. Aweber. I've never heard of MoveSend. I'm not sure what they are. I have to check them out after this. It's always fun finding these little extra competitors that you might not be aware of, right? Just because you've done this research and these guys collect this just normally, you get to see like, oh, I've never heard of this guy. Maybe this is someone that's on the up and up. Maybe they're brand new. I have no idea. Okay, so we've got those guys and we want to say whoever isn't linking to Get Response, right? Which is over here. So Get Response, right? Okay, so I've made sure that all of these are set to domain level, domain and subdomain level, right? You may at some point want to look at different ones here like URL or prefix path, but for the most part, if you're doing this, you want to say, hey, show me all the keywords of this domain and any subdomain like blog.sendinblue would show me all the links that they have that we don't have. And I'll show link opportunities. And it should bring us some data here in a second. Apologize for the lag. Might even have to pause this and just double check that all this is going the way it should. Oh, there we go. All right, no need to pause. All righty. So now you can see here that we've got this link intersect, right? 5 targets. So here, show me is linked to this. So it's all the same data. Cool. And now we see here, this is the referring domain. So the domain that is backlinking to this site, this site, this site, this site, and this site, right? So any one of these. So, and you can see that this is ordered by intersect. So intersect being the number of sites that has a backlink from this website. So as we scroll down, you can see all of these are 5s, but if we go to the very last page, we should have 1s, right? I regret clicking that immediately. But the point is now that you're able to download this and start to filter it. So I'll show you how to do that in a moment once this next page loads up. But the idea is that we'll be downloading and filtering this with the view of us really wanting to, oh, we've got to upgrade to a higher subscription if I want to see all of them. That makes a total sense. I don't know why it took that long to load the page to tell me that. But the idea is that we download and filter all this, right? Because we want to get together a list of, the end result of this is really us getting together a list of domains that we have in a spreadsheet that we can say, hey, we know these guys link to people like us, specifically our competitors. Let's go and review what those links are. Let's figure out what the angle is and how we get that link. And let's find out what the contact details are for each site so we can go from this prospecting stage where we're at right now, right? You remember from the last video here, we've got a prospecting stage. This is what all this part is, to an outreach stage. And we want to create a list of people and a list of details that we can easily outreach to here from this prospecting stage. Because what we want to do is get as many of these negotiations done at the same time. So if we can do like 3, 4, 5 negotiations at the same time and get 3 or 4, 5 links up at the same time, because this negotiation stage can take anywhere between 48 hours, 24 hours if you're lucky, to 3 weeks, a month, depending on how busy the other side is, how often they get back, what the terms are. You can have this issue where if you're trying to do this one link at a time, it can take months just to get 4 links for a site, right? And you want to get like 4, 5, 20, as many as you can, as quickly as you can, because it's going to stagger anyway in the way that people upload it and negotiations go. So if I go back here, we're now link intersect. So all intersections, we do want all of those, right? I'm going to say for our purposes in this video, we might take this down from 1 to, I'm going to say who links to at least 3 targets, and apply that. And what that's going to let us do now is filter this down more. We're going to export these, and it's going to be contingent on what your plan level is and stuff like that. So we want to make sure if we're doing these exports that we're getting our bang for buck out of the exports. So once this filters down, the next thing I might do is organize this by domain rank. So if I go top to bottom in domain rank, what I'm going to get potentially here is the cutoff point where I may not be able to download any more results are going to be is going to mean that it's eliminating stuff with bad DR. So you can see here there's 1,600 domains here now linking to at least 3 or more of our competitors and not to us. So I'll go ahead and export this now. I can export the full 1,600 rows, and I'll just export that to an Excel sheet. Just wait for that to export, and I'll be back in a second. All right, and we're back now. So we've downloaded that. It comes out of a little box up here. It's processed it and download, and you can see we've got a link intersect down here. So I haven't opened this in without recording yet. I wanted you to see this whole process. I know little things like this are a pain sometimes. You're not sure where what the difference is. So I'm going to close this. You still want to view these files later. That's fine. All right. So you can see here that this is basically just a straight export. There's nothing fancy done or changed in here between what we had before and basically what we're seeing here. What I might do here is just take all those and wrap the text. There we go. That's good enough. Okay, great. So what I might do from here on, right, is I want to really narrow this down to the type of sites that's going to be of use to me. So I'm going to make this into a table first of all, and we're going to do some smart filtering here to try and bring this into line and make this more helpful for us. So I can see that we've got Reddit, which is obviously going to be a no use to us, or it could be, you can get a link from Reddit, but I mean, most people aren't going to go out and try to create something for Reddit. And if I'm really honest, having spent quite a bit of time on Reddit, I would not be trying to use Reddit for too much self-serving marketing. It requires a really subtle hand to do correctly. It is a place where if they smell a whiff of promotion, you will be downvoted to oblivion. I mean, you'll have the link either way, but obviously you want that positive. You want that positive outlook if people do find that Reddit link, right? You don't want to look like you're super out of touch. So, all right. So we've got all these domain ratings here. If I go down to the bottom and I look at the worst one that we've got, the worst DR that we have down here. So we've got a ton of zeros in here, right? So that helps a ton. So what that means is we're just going to go here and go number filters. And remember those DR ranges we were talking about? So I'm going to say, I don't want anything that is, I want to filter to everything that is greater than or equal to 30. And now let's have a look at what count we've got there. So we've got 700 out of the 1600 left. So that's a more manageable list immediately, right? So now we know that. We know that all these link to at least 3 of the competitors, yeah. So now we get to go through and we can start sort of filtering through these and looking at these and saying, all right, well, what's going to be of value to us? What can I see that it's immediately going to be helpful to us based on these metrics that we've got so far? And that can help a ton, right? In you getting at least a list of domains together, especially ones that you may know or may hear or may see that are very common amongst people. Amongst your competitors. So what I would generally do is I would keep them all in there because I just like to always see the data, and I just start marking stuff red or green. Usually I find that you're better off to go one way or the other to make this faster. Find things that are clearly not going to help, or find things that are clearly something you do want to approach. Either way, I find it's easy to eliminate things because you know what you're not going to want versus knowing what you do want, right? But this might be it. This might be a big list of things that you can say, all right, well, we want to see, we want to see all of these websites. And when we start looking at all these websites and seeing, and really filtering this down and saying, we're going to start outreaching, right, to these guys. I think that you're better off going in this scenario down to some of these lower ones too, and just really being careful about what's in here. You'll find that over time, you'll start to learn what the problem is with some of these. But an example might be like things that look odd. I'm not sure about this, Boleto.fi. I could check it out here. I just won't in this video. But I mean, things like this, or you might have things very commonly that are xyc3 .com. Obviously, that's going to be just, it's almost guaranteed that something like this is going to be a garbage website, and you're going to want to remove it. First of all, you don't want to outreach to somebody like that who's going to be clearly spammy, and you don't want to put yourself on their radar. So once you've got all this list, or once you go through and you pick out the best ones in this list that you think are of value to you, then you're really going to want to go through and find out, what are the links that they've got, where are these links, and what value are they? So one thing you can do here is you can say, once you've filtered through this list and looked up what you want, so maybe we want, business opportunities.biz, I might check that out. andrewandpete.com. So this could be a lot of this sort of stuff, right? You plug it in, it loads the site, you look at the site, okay, we're Andrew and Pete, we help small business owners. Okay, cool. So, I offer a guest response like solution. These guys help small business owners to grow businesses. They create new videos. Looks like they look like a charismatic duo. They've been on all sorts of other websites before. Could be super valuable to us, right? So potentially, okay, yeah, we're going to mark them as they're a okay for us. right? And then we're going to go through and mark a few more. And then what we would do from there is we'd just go up and we create another one here. And what I would generally put in this is another spreadsheet. I find this better when it's on Google Sheets so that you can have multiple people share and work through this at a time. But you might do domain, DR, and then you might do name, contact. And I find it's sometimes helpful to do contact name, contact. You want to have some notes potentially, and you can go through that way, right? And basically, this is a really fast way to go through and grab a ton of sites, because all you're going to do now is say, okay, all of these ones that I approved, I know that those ones can go over into here, domain. Excuse me, my new computer that I can't figure out my fat thumbs for. All right, so you know that all these guys, for example, we've approved these. Now we want to start outreaching to them, right? And the name here is our contact name. So maybe contact name is better here. Contact name, contact email. Right? And you're going to go through and you're going to go and find the email address for all of these guys. Now, there's various ways you can do that. There's various tools you can use to do that and help you as well. And I think going through this entire process with you to show you how to do it, how I might do it, is a little bit of our scope of this particular series. But potentially something I could do in a follow-up video if it's requested enough, is you would just go through and you'd find, you'd go to close.com, or I'd go on these guys' got site and I go, okay, well, what's their email? Where can I find their email? Whistle@andrewandpete.com. Looks like it's an email address that I can get a hold of. So I go back over to here. I've got an email. Now, generally, when we're looking for emails, what we'll generally do is we'll either go, I will fill in a name here, if possible. So Whistle@Andrew and Pete. I'm not sure who's going to answer this, but because this is the name of two dudes, I could say, hey, I put Andrew and Pete, or potentially if I don't know who I know that this isn't the right website. Excuse me for that. Here, I'm getting this out. I know that some people it irks them. So maybe close.com, right? If I don't find a name for those, I might just go guys. And then the contact email might be, say, info@close.com or something like that, or hello@close.com. And I'll just do guys, right? Because what you want to do is you want to put in a name here as much as possible, because you want to be personable when you send these emails, and you want to be able to use a name that's going to the name of the person that you're talking to, obviously. If you can't find it, then you can put this in, and that's going to allow you, if you use an automated system, to say, oh, I can export this whole list, and I can say, do some form fill stuff when I reach out to these people, where it would say, hey, fill name, and the inputted name would be Andrew and Pete or guys, right? Anytime you don't know someone, so that there's something relevant in there. The other thing that you will find that very often is like fixthephoto.com. We don't know, maybe we don't know the name, so it would still be guys. Contact email, there may not be one, and it may be contact form. And then usually what I'll do is I'll put the URL of the contact form, and it'll be fixthephoto.com, photo.com, and we / contact, right? Contact dash form here. And the reason we'll do that is because you don't want this to be filled in here. Like, you want to be able to keep this uniform, because when you do this outreach at large scale, when this says, say you've got a couple here with contact form, and one is form is on page, and the other one says Jess's contact form page, right? So when you've got all these here, what you're going to find really is that it's really hard to filter all out the junk and actually keep this into what's going to be relevant to you and helpful to you. So keep it with contact form is my suggestion. And then just put the form thing in the notes or add another column, so that you can quickly sort through, create a table out of this later, sort through, send off your emails to all these people, right? Use a template, set up a template, or potentially find a template online, And then you can basically send out to all these guys in one go, wait for those emails to come back while you're doing that waiting, or maybe the next day or something, spend an hour or two, get up a template for how you're going to do these contact forms, and do the contact forms as well, and work through those. Now, scaling this the way that I would advise that you scale this, and I've sort of touched on this already before, is that you would go ahead and have someone spend a couple of hours on it, or a day on it, a week, or whatever it is. Say someone should spend 3 hours on a Thursday doing this, or something to that effect, or an hour every day, or whatever it is that works for you in your business. Do that. Alternatively, you can outsource this sort of work. This is really easily outsourced as long as you know how to manage it and you know what you're looking for. You can get somebody, a VA or something, to be able to do this for you. Teach them what to look for in here. Teach them how to send this out in whatever email platform you use. Or maybe, they've got to do it all manually with templates built into Gmail. That's possible too. And then teach them to go through and do this, and just say to them, hey, we want 50 to 100 done a week, or something like that. You know what I mean? That way you can have this rolling in the background, and you can keep moving forward. And it's really common, it's not the only way to link build. There's definitely more complicated ways to do it. And the more time and effort you put into outreaching to someone and building a relationship, the better your results are going to be. But there is definitely something, especially in a startup culture, to be said for just scalability and speed in this scenario. And you can come back to build relationships with people later on. I will give you in the next strategy, this Dream 100 is really who I think you should be trying to build a relationship with. And we'll touch on that. I think we can touch on that in this video. I think that's going to be within our scope here. So let's have a quick look at that. And I'm just going to explain an overview of what it really is. There's not a lot of instruction needed over and above what we've already looked at. Because I think that this is really obvious to most people once you sort of once we get into this explanation. So the Dream 100, more or less, is when you have it's about you creating the 100 websites that you would like to work with, or see referencing your website, etc. Talking about